Welcome to Opinion Havers, a movie podcast for Paul Anderson. I'm Tyler.
I'm Cody.
And I'm Tyler. And this is the Opinion Havers. Cody, what do we watch?
Tyler, Cody, and Tyler, the three opinion. Cody, Tyler, and his two personalities.
Yes. Taylor, as they like to call me at work.
Tyler, oh man, what did we watch?
I just asked you what we watched. I'm the host here, Cody.
I got distracted by the Tyler thing. I didn't know if Tyler asked me or if Taylor had asked me.
I know, Tyler.
We watched Resident Evil.
Yeah, we did.
You finally did it to me. It's been a year or two since you've been pushing this one.
I put it on the device or the machine. Sorry, the device is your thing. The machine's my thing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's been there. It's been there lurking the whole time.
Looming large, just
waiting
behind a corner to jump us.
So, Cody, do you want to try to give us a synopsis of the film? Just quick, spoiler free, just for all the friends at home, all the opinioners at home.
I'll try. So, Resident Evil is a movie about a mysterious female protagonist played by Milla Wachowski. In which a secret science lab has some sort of mysterious outbreak, and a team must investigate to see what done darn happened. Is that spoiler free enough?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
it's hard because it's like, number one is based off a video game. Number two is the movie's 20 years old. So it's like, but like the movie, I knew more about the plot of the movie than I should have because I know what Resident Evil is, but like imagine a child, a sweet, simple child who has never heard of any of these things watching this movie. I don't want to spoil it for them,
I mean, I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a huge fan of the Resident Evil games.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, howdy, have I seen all the movies, Cody. I got them all.
I believe it.
Steel book.
I
played the games. Who hasn't? Losers. That's who. All right. But we've all seen all the movies and we've played all the games. All right. That's what we know. That's the position we're coming from. All right. Cody, how did it go for you? How did it tickle your pickle?
I didn't think it was great. I thought it was kind of bad, but I will give it credit for this. There were a few elements where I was like, these elements of this movie and story are way more advanced than it should be for an early 2000s video game adaptation. And I will dive more into that as we get past into spoiler territory. But, but I will say this, pure early 2000s aesthetic, and that's what we go to Paul Anderson for,
Yeah. Paul Anderson is probably, I'm sure he stands by and loves these movies so much, and just really they're a labor of love, and he loves them, and we love Paul Anderson for making them, right?
I'm so mad that his name is Paul Anderson. You know what I'm saying? Like, how dare he?
Cody, his name's Paul Anderson. All right,
but it's so rude to the other Paul Anderson.
Cody,
I can't think of
two
more different filmmakers with the exact same name. Makes me mad every time.
What you should be mad is that they probably both think that they're exactly the same level of quality when they come to making movies. All right,
yeah,
based on like the post credit, not post credit. What are we talking about? Like behind the scenes interviews and stuff. They probably both think like they're hot stuff when it comes to making these movies, and they know what they're doing.
Well, like one of them frequently collaborates with Daniel Day-Lewis, one of the greatest actors of his generation. The other one made 8 Resident Evil movies.
All right, now hold on. Now I'm going to put it this way: Daniel Day-Lewis. You said this before. I'm calling it out right now. Saying Daniel Day-Lewis is saying he is the best actor is like saying Ditto is the best Pokemon because he has Replicate or whatever that groove he has where he can turn into any other Pokemon. That's what you're saying. You're saying the one that is like nothing. He's got nothing. He's got a creepy face, and people make comics about doing weird stuff with him. That's what Daniel Day-Lewis is. All right. He's the ditto of actors. All right. He's not Charizard,
Wait,
but boy,
but
howdy.
wouldn't that make you the greatest actor of all time if you
No.
can replicate any other person?
No, Cody. No, we're talking about, he's never out here tearing his shirt open, dousing himself in oil like Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston was damp in every movie he was ever in, Cody. Do you know how hard that is to play Lawrence of Arabia in the desert and be damp the whole time? All right, Cody, you're in the desert. Moisture is at a premium and you manage to look damp for 14 hours or however long all the Charlton Heston movies are. All right. Daniel Day-Lewis, I don't even know who you're talking about. Is that friggin' Voldemort? Who are we talking about? I don't know. All right. He's out here. Is he alive? All I know one movie he's in where he made dresses and hit his wife, who was like 30 years younger than him. Okay. So, how dare you? Okay. He's in that Lincoln
Do you think
movie,
it's appropriate to arrange some kind of a duel for Paul Andersons to be like, all right, one of you is going to have to die, and whoever survives is Paul Anderson?
Let's be real, though. Let's not do that because there's one Paul Anderson coming out of there, and it's not the one you want coming out of there, Cody. All right. One of them's got.
You're saying it's the one that's directed all the action movies?
The one that's going for the. He's going to rip off.
Not
one of
the
them's
one
going
who
to
made a
rip the other
movie
one's
called
nuts off
Licorice
with his
Pizza that had nothing to do with either licorice or pizza.
Yeah, no.
Let me tell you, for a movie with pizza on the cover, I didn't see them eat pizza once, and I never saw a single piece of licorice.
Do they not say licorice pizza at least once?
I don't think so.
I thought that was a
About
line.
80% sure they didn't. Bailey was just complaining about that movie the other day. We were talking about the different kind of movies she likes. We like, how different we are. And she was like, "What's that one stupid movie?" Like Licorice Pizza. Oh man.
Okay, I'll say this. I googled Paul Anderson and an English actor came up, so I guess we're both wrong as to which one's the best. He's
Why
the
do you
best
think
one.
they both have middle initials? Because someone else in the guild has their name already. Got P.T. Anderson, P.W.S. Anderson. I mean, come on. What happens when hold on, W.S. Don't tell me it's Wesley Snipes. Is it Paul Wesley Snipes Anderson? If it's so, I cede the point. He is the greater of the two.
I mean, probably. I wouldn't put it past him. All right, just you saying that, it's William Scott. All right, but you know what? Just you saying that, he's probably changed it to Wesley Snipes. All right.
Paul Wesley Snipes Anderson. Oh man.
So
Tyler, what else we got to say? Did you even say whether or not you've seen them all. Obviously you liked this movie.
I'll tell you right now. So I have firmly put these into trash movies. All right. This is a series of movies we call Tyler's Trash. And it is.
Yeah.
I was like this. And when I was done with this movie, I was like, what happened? Because I remember the later movies. Cody, you've not seen any of the Resident Evil movies, correct?
I mean, I've seen 5 minutes of one or two of them.
Let me tell you, Cody, you're not prepared. All right. That goes off the rails immediately. The next movie, different movie. Same cast, same director, same writers, as far as I remember. It goes off the rails. This movie,
does Paul W.S. Anderson direct all of them?
Yes.
Did you say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is his baby.
That's all he's been doing the last 20 years.
He latched onto this. People loved him, and he kept going. And people
latched onto the teat of what's her name?
His wife, who I don't know if they're still together, but him and Mila did marry. They were wed at some point.
Shut up. Hold on. Because that's the same thing as the Underworld director. He was married to Kate Beckinsale for a while, and then they got divorced, and they still made 2 more movies together or something. What is this?
I think in the time.
Is this a fetish? Is it a very specific fetish where someone is a movie director and they marry a person, then they divorce them, but they keep making a film franchise? I know there has to only be 3 people that fall into that.
Sorry, Cody, I misspoke. They are still married.
Mila Jovovich.
Yes. Oh,
I can say her name right if I'm looking at it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
otherwise, I'm there's an M and there's a Vich.
Here's a fun fact, Cody, before you slander this lady. She is from Ukraine, all right? She's from the Soviet Union, is where she was born.
Yeah.
In Kiev. Kiev?
Yeah.
No, don't be out here. Don't say Kiev.
You know I don't know.
You
know I don't know the right way to say it.
Here we go, Cody.
I've asked people. And
No. I have this. No. I've said it, Cody. I said it wrong just now, all right? I will say this right now. I've asked people who lived in Ukraine for a while, and people who speak Ukrainian, okay, and Russian. Kiev, which is how most news agencies say it, is the Russian pronunciation of the city. Kiev is the Ukrainian. So if you say Kiev, you are outright supporting Russia's invasion, and I will call
That's
you
why I
out
was so
on that
confused,
every
because I
time.
always heard it said Kiev, but I'm
Kiev
like,
is
aren't we,
Russian.
like pro-Ukraine in this as Americans?
So if you say it Kiev, you support Russia invading Ukraine. If you call it the Ukraine, you support Russia invading Ukraine. I'm just going to call everyone out right now. Only 3 people listen to this,
Yeah.
and they probably all support Russia. So now we've lost our 3 listeners, but that's fine.
I've got ancestors from Kiev, and so I'm probably like second cousins to Mila Jovovich, which
Yeah.
makes Paul W.S. Anderson my
Your daddy.
dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if anybody sends me a video of the president of Ukraine pronouncing it Kiev, then, stand by it. Also, how are you going to have the Vladimir and Volodymyr be the nemesises? All right. What is that with? Anyway, we're not talking about that right now, Cody. We're talking about Resident Evil.
Aren't we?
Okay.
Are we not?
I just noticed that she's from that. I was like, cool. She was born in the Soviet Union. I was like, that, Cody, let's talk about this for a second. Soviet Union, not that far in the past. Isn't that crazy? It feels like it was so long ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was before I was born, right? So in
You know,
some ways,
Wait,
it
it's
was
just-
that long ago.
It was, but
But it also
feels like
wasn't,
should
right?
be. Should be longer. Let's say it right now. Let's just say, let's agree as a country, as a nation, as a global community right now. Soviet Union fell in 1957. All right, let's just rewrite history together right now. If we all believe it, I've seen Doctor Who. If we all believe it strongly enough, it becomes real. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's true.
You didn't like this movie. I was actually surprised.
History is just the stories we
the-
tell ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
I was surprised at the quality of the film, actually.
Really?
Yeah, like I was like, oh, well, this is a movie, and then I'll just warn you, it firmly goes into B movie after this. Actually, I would say the Resident Evil movies after this are the king B movie, really. So it's like they're like a A-list movie budget and effects and all this other stuff, but with a solidly B movie attitude towards the movie.
All right.
And so that's why I love them so much. They're awesome. And I feel this is kind of, I guess you could argue the same thing. But everybody all this time, Cody, they've been saying, when are we going to get a good video game adaptation? And they're like, Sonic did it. It broke the curse. I think Resident Evil broke the curse. Would you say that this is this is a trash movie like Mortal Kombat? Or is this far and away better?
Are you going to besmirch Mortal Kombat? Are you telling me the same guy who...
Do not.
Sorry, you're out here talking trash on my favorite movie as a 6-year-old.
All right, let's go
Far and
watch it
away.
right now, Cody. Let's go. I dare you. Sit through it without once looking at your watch. All right.
Hey, it's not that long.
It's not.
Man.
It's a good. If that's your defense of the movie, that's a good movie right there.
It's not. Your soul is mine. What a great movie. What a great thing for a 7-year-old to watch once a week for a year. All right, Tyler. All right. I mean, it's a good thing that like I started getting into like better movies, because the trajectory I set myself on as a 7-year-old, I could have been here. I could have been the Resident Evil fanboy, the underworld guy. All right, Tyler, I'm ready. I'm ready to get into it. We have to.
Cody, hop on my tank train thing, and let's just cruise on down to the spoiler zone high. The spoiler nest. It's like the Hornets. It's a hornet nest underground. There's a lot of. Let me tell you, there was a miscommunication as we're riding this train. Now, let me make one thing clear. There was a miscommunication with the contractor. There are a lot of hornets in the spoiler nest. Okay.
Okay.
Because I said I wanted like a hornet's nest, and they said, got it. I understand exactly what you want. And then they just filled it with hornets. And that's not what I wanted. What I wanted was the shape, but I need you to be prepared. Okay.
I did what you asked. I got the hornets loaded in there. You're good to go.
It's too late. We can't go back. The budget's been spent.
I hope it's enough hornets. It's only about 300. I hope that's enough for what you need. All right, Tyler, here's my question to you. Do you want to ramble first, or do you want to ramble second?
Let me ask you this. do you have a ramble, or do you need me to remind you what the movie's about?
I've
so that
got
you can
enough
rant?
to ramble on, and then nothing to talk about after, probably. So,
Because I mean, I feel like I can rebuttal a lot, or I can remind you what the movie, which video game this movie is based on. If that's the level that you're at right now.
yeah,
You know?
I don't know.
Why don't I go first, and then you can
All right.
you can be outraged. Okay, so you just
Okay.
hush up, and I'll hey go. Are you ready? Are you prepared? Are you doing it? Are you?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm
here we
ready.
go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Cody, let me tell you, this movie, I came into this movie thinking, oh, Cody, this is what's going to kill the pot. Cody's going to hate it. And I was like, that movie's actually like, for like a 90s horror thriller like movie. I was like, that's as good as any other horror movie that wasn't like one of the 2 best ones to come out of like a 50-year period. Because that's everybody's always like, oh, but what about this thing? What about this thing? What about that thing? It's like, yeah, cool. You've picked 3 movies out of 20 years of movies. Okay. Let's just admit that most movies from the past are bad. That's why you don't remember them. Okay. This movie gets remembered. This franchise survived. All right. Don't try to shut me down. Don't give me that look, Cody, just because God tried to strike me down just now for saying that. Okay. It's fine. Let's talk about this. Let me get real with you for a second. This is a movie from 2002 with 2 ladies on the front, and they were the leading people. All right. They're the leading actors. Is Mila Jovovich and Michelle Rodriguez. Michelle Rodriguez, let's talk about her for a second. Cody, I hate Michelle Rodriguez, but I love her in every movie. She wins me over every time. I hate her I don't like the character she plays. Every time she wins me over. I'm like, oh, it's her again. By the end of the movie, I'm like, get him, Letty. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how, I don't know why. Every time she wins me back, okay? And, shout out to her. They're out here, they're doing it, all right? One of them went on to bigger and better things. There's no doubt about that. But, can we honestly say that Fast and Furious is better than Resident Evil? Honestly? Sure, but, whatever, okay? Okay, so let's talk, like the movie. Let me tell you, I watched a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. I watched a lot of like the interviews with them talking about how they came up with the story of this. Genius. And I'm like, that's when I came up with this, like, man, they did it. They really made they made the good video game adaptation. This is as good as the Resident Evil movies. It is a perfectly, like, it hits the same notes. It has the same level of suspense. They even like referenced how often they tried to use the same shots and everything. And like, there's lots of shots where I didn't even really notice, and then they showed them, right, where he like anchors the camera up in like the corner of the room and gives you that top down perspective to like say, oh, something's about to go down. So where like if you've played the game a bunch, you feel like this level of uneasiness as they're like going through an area, and you're like, oh no, this thing's about to happen. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Paul Anderson, for the types of movie he makes, is a fantastic movie maker. And that blew my mind that he meant to do all these things, and like him outlining it and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, he could be great. He could be fantastic, Cody, but he chooses to make Resident Evil movies. What is happening, Cody? Like, what? Look at me in the eyes. It's like those people who make terrible movies and then they're in a good movie. Or it's like T-Pain when he went and sang for the kids, and everybody's like, oh, and then everybody's like, you have the voice of an angel. And he's like, what the? You guys thought I couldn't sing? I chose to use auto-tune. That's my thing. All right. But everybody thinks T-Pain can't sing, but he can. It's like Post Malone, voice of an angel, face of a gremlin. All right. Like, right. So like, these people who like just choose to do something weird when they could be amazing. But if you think about it, Cody, what you think Paul W.S. Anderson, I'll stoop to calling him W.S. If he's going to come out and try to make these fantastic indie movies, that he's going to stand a chance? No, you nerds are going to crucify this man for daring to have the same name as Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson works with what's his face, who was in like all these movies that no one knows he was in, because you never know it's him playing the character. All I know is he retires. He's freaking Tom Brady of actors. He retires every year after every movie, and he never does retire. All right, Cody, this game. Let's talk about this movie again. Let me circle back. Let me bring you back here. Right, here's the train of thought, like bringing you back. Okay, this movie, They nailed it. They nailed the vibe of a horror game with the zombies. They got it. The zombies, Cody, the T virus. Okay. That's in the games now. That came from the freaking movie. He invented that. He invented the T virus, all this stuff, like the story behind it. Like in the games, I'm pretty sure there's no explanation of it. Because in my deep dive, I did. That's where I was like, no, they said the T virus and the thing. And then my deep dive, they're like, nope, that came from the movies. And then they adopted it into the games. What? This movie's so good, it made the games better. Made the games different. I played the VR game, Cody. Not scary.
Tyler,
right?
I'm going to have to cut you off there. All right. You've had your time. All right. You've had your time. I need you to shut it and I need you to give me my time. Here I'm going. Tom Brady is retired. That's what you don't understand. He is retired. Everyone believes him this time. My favorite part is that everyone does believe him because I know for a fact next year he's going to come back and play for someone else. And every year he's going to retire. Then every year he's going to come back a little bit later in the season and try to save a team. And it's probably going to work once in the next 3 years. And it's going to make everyone real mad. That's right. It is what it is. Let's talk about this movie, though. Oh, remember the early 2000s? You tried to forget? No. These movies are here to chronicle the early 2000s and punish us for our sins. All right. Look, you're going to tell me that he's an excellent filmmaker. Here's my thing. Every time I watch an interview of a movie I wasn't that interested in, I'm like, or even like music artists discussing their art, I'm like, oh, you meant to do all this stuff. You put a lot of thought into this. And I don't know why it surprises me every time, but it always makes me like them more, And I'm like, I kind of like that. Happened to me with Shaggy. I watched a 30-minute video about Shaggy and how they made It Wasn't Me. I'm like, Shaggy, what a down-to-earth dude. I'm going to listen to more Shaggy. And to his credit, I have listened to more Shaggy. Let's talk about Shaggy. All right. The man who made the song It Wasn't Me, which is like, right, the guy cheats, he gets caught, and he's like, here's what you got to do. You got to say it wasn't me, all right? And he's like, what about all these reasons? He's like, no, you just say it wasn't me. That's how you play it. That's how you're a player, right? That song is on the same album as the song Angel. Shorty, you're my angel. You're my darling, all right? The song is the exact opposite of It Wasn't Me is like, here's how you play it. And Angel is like, I'll never love anyone else. I got to tell everyone how awesome my angel is. Who is this man? I don't understand. I'm about to go on a deep dive. I'm about to listen to the whole album and what is it? What's Shaggy up to? I'll tell you what he's up to. He released an album of Frank Sinatra covers. Like 12 songs at least. All the hits, all the big Sinatra hits. Shaggy might be a better singer than Frank Sinatra. I'm not sure. All right. Check it out. He's also much like T-Pain. He's got the voice of an angel, but he chooses to rap like Shaggy. All right. Oh, here we go. Michelle Rodriguez. I'm like you. Every time I see her, I'm like, not Michelle Rodriguez again. Except she never wins me over. I'm always just like, Letty's here. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you, my favorite line of the movie was hers, and it was awful. Some guy says something to her. She goes, blow me. It's like, oh, all right. She's here. All right. And I appreciated it. I appreciate that she's here. But also it was like, so I just wasn't ready for it. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't ready for Michelle Rodriguez to say it. You know what I'm saying? But she did. And we're proud of her. I'm not a fan. I know. Look, I'm not. Bailey loves her because she is the ride or die. She's there, I thought Fast and Furious series got better when she was killed off. And when she came back, Bailey was like, thank goodness the series is saved, So that's where I'm at. Let's talk about this. Nipple Watch. We're back on it. Nipple Watch 2023. Tyler, you got us back into it. You thought it was gone. No, we're back in. Single nipple action, yes. Then I started writing down Nipple Watch 2023. I missed the second nipple. Don't worry. Bailey informed me there was the second nipple. All right. We got double nipple action. We did it. We're here. It's never ending saga. We're always going to point it out. And that's what you pay us for. All right. Here's the thing. If I had a big critique of this movie, it would be the talking loud acting. All right. There are a lot of actors that are very clearly not that good. And that's not Mila Jovovich. It's not Michelle Rodriguez. They're great. But some of like the vanilla dudes in the squad are just like saying things loudly. They're not shouting, but they are saying them loudly. But they're also saying them like a robot, like a Google Home or Alexa might say. You know what I'm saying? Like And if Paul W.S. Anderson was that great a director, wouldn't he be like, hey, maybe slightly change the pitch or tone of your voice so it sounds like a human talking? But no, he didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? So I can't give him credit for it. All right. I can't do it. But they did it. I mean, I don't know. These people, I got so many questions for this crew, right? They're in the hive. Is it called the beehive, the wasp nest, the hive, the hornet hole? I don't know what it's called. It's called something. And they're going down. There's experiments on the floor. There's like a giant tube of not amniotic fluid, was formaldehyde or something. There's something in a tube. It's spraying all over the place and they just walk through it. It's like, dude, step around. Why would you walk right through the spraying gross liquid?
Cody, I'm gonna have to cut you off there. All right. First off, it's not amniotic fluid. All right. It's that there's a office that's been flooded. It's full. There are tiny little pinprick holes in the glass that are spewing out
gross water, and they walk through it, and they could easily step around it.
I mean, you could see in that shot. You could see the other wall. Like they would have to like suck it in and like kind of around. I'm like, just walk through it. They're hardcore. These are like the corporate kill squad. You know what I'm saying? These are cool dudes. Mm-hmm. All right. I found an article. I searched Resident Evil nipple. All right. And I found nothing other than an article that says Resident Evil is 10 years old this year. So it's an old article. And yeah, there's some facts about it. We're
the only ones out here on Nipple Watch, and it's a good thing we're here. You know?
Let me tell you, Cody, I looked up the other movies that came out the same year as this, like, because I was going to make a big point of like, see, look, not a lot of good movies coming out that same year. Cody, let me tell you, this movie did not win the lottery in terms of release years. Okay, let me just run down a few of these gems for you. We got Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Spider-Man. We got... my favorite one, 28 Days Later, also a zombie movie.
Oh,
Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, Minority Report, Signs, 8 Mile.
A lot of heavy hitters.
Born Identity.
Oof.
Ice Age.
Action movies and sci-fi movies, even some zombie movies.
The Ring, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet, Men in Black 2, A Walk to Remember. I'm just saying, like,
Mandy.
There's the Scorpion King. I'm just saying, like, any possible niche this could have fallen into to really blow up that year was filled by a movie. It's like, I would say in terms of B movies, Scorpion King is a better B movie,
I mean, I think B movie's probably the best B movie out there. In terms of like the amount of bees on screen, it kind of.
In terms of Jerry Seinfeld as a bee seducing a human woman, you're right. It is the best. But, it would be hard to carve out. But I do think, like, I think the one, and I forgot this, the thing that really kind of ate its lunch at the time was 28 Days Later, which is like, they held up as like a great horror movie. But I still stand by, you say like, so I can't remember the actor's name. But the guy that he talks very robotically. He does that in any movie he's in. That is just how Colin Solomon talks. Which, to be fair, his credit is he's credited as one. He's one. That has his call sign. He's one. But like, I watched all these behind the scenes things, and then I watched the movie. And when you think about it in terms of think about playing a game, especially from the 90s, early 2000s, right? Think about the kernel or whatever in your ear giving you the what's it called? No, hold on. What's it called, Cody? Give me the name. Cody, exposition. Orders. There we go. Exposition. He nails it to the point where I'm pretty sure that's the guy that voices a lot of those characters for that time period. And that's exactly like the way he's like 18 hours ago, the hive lost. It's like, oh my gosh, I could see a little like super pixelated face popping up in the corner of the screen telling me all this stuff in a video game and me being like, how the F do I skip this dialogue? You know what I'm saying? Like it's exact. So it makes sense where I forgot. I guess I forgot, or I never really realized how much they wanted to make. This was supposed to be a Resident Evil movie because the later movies diverge hard. Like they stick on this because Resident Evil is like an anthology series, right? It's like they're all different things. They kind of share
Every now and again they share characters, but
Yeah, they share
there's
characters.
a lot of like one-offs, and
but the theme is like supernatural zombie-like characters. That's like the only thing that they all have in common, right?
yeah.
But they've like this is the
Some are
storyline.
more like thrillers, some are more action-y, some are more horror-y.
Yeah.
But they all share the supernatural zombie enemy things.
Right. And so this is just like, so this was just supposed to be based off that original game. But they stuck on this storyline and the games kind of went on their own. They kept doing their thing that they were going to do. And I didn't realize like, yeah, like all the actors and the writers and the director, they all played the game a bunch and watched all like videos of all of them and like really tried to make like him talking about them going back and forth about well, where were they going to remake the movie? Because that's what they kind of wanted. Capcom, I think, wanted initially was him to make the game into a movie. And he said, no one's going to care because the people who are going to come to see it, they already know how it plays out. They played the game. So if you change it, which this is the genius of this man. He's new at this point. No, Cody, because how many times have people made a video game movie where they just try to make the events of the games? Okay. And what his response was, that's stupid. Anybody who's played the game knows what's going to happen, so you have to change it. But by changing it, you alienate that audience that came to see it because they love the story, because you changed the story they loved. So you have to tell either a prequel or a sequel. And it's way safer to tell a prequel because everybody wants to know how you got here. And it doesn't mess with the studio's ability to make a sequel. Then you're never you don't want to compete. Him like saying things like you don't want to compete with the people making the game. I was like, put this man in charge of every video game adaptation. Maybe maybe he doesn't have to direct it. Every script now has to pass this man. Every single script. Cody, let me tell you about a little show called Halo. All right. I love that show as a sci-fi show. It's fantastic. Like pop culture sci-fi show. As a Halo adaptation for Halo fans, awful. All right. It's the worst. It's just like what they should have done more than they did. Give it to the Star Trek people. They didn't. They tried to be like, we're going to do something, Cody, to say it with me. Where they're going to do it a little bit different.
A little different.
A little bit different. Right? And Paul's like, don't do that. Just fill in the gaps that the games leave. And I was like, this man's a freaking genius.
Yeah.
I stand by.
I mean, I hear you. I have more things to say, though.
Say it then.
And let me tell you the first thing. The use of music in some of these scenes is, I would describe it as erratic. So there, in particular, my favorite example of this is the dog scene where she's got to fight the dogs. It's like she goes back and forth. There's like a little bit of music. She does the fighting, and then like the fighting intensifies. They do all the fighting. And then at the end of the fighting, there's like out of nowhere, really loud, intense music. It's like the fight just ended. I'm so confused. Why did you not use any score for anything until after the fight this was the music that should have been playing during the fight 30 seconds ago. I don't know. They had a few of those where I was like, hold on. You played no music where there shouldn't have been music. Then you played loud music where there shouldn't have been music. I don't know, man. It got me, but let's talk about the dogs.
All right.
Were there some good boys in this movie? Yes, they used real dogs. Were there some statues that didn't move? Yeah. In other shots, yes. Were there also CG dogs? Yes. You can't have it all three ways. You can't do real dogs, a statue of a dog, and a CG. You get two at best, all right? You got to commit to 2 out of the 3. He did all 3, and it was delightful to be like, wait, that's a real dog. That's just the statue. Wait, hold on. Now they're doing full CG? Where are we at?
Well, Cody, Cody, what I'm hearing is you wanted Mila to kick a real dog in the face, and I cannot abide that, Cody. All right,
hey, I'm saying she can kick a CG dog in the face. They just then can't show literally just a statue of a dog the next shot. I was like, wait, it's not moving.
Let me tell you this. Every time I watch this movie, I've watched this movie several times at this point. Every single time, I'm blown away by the fact that they've got like real dogs in here, and it terrifies me. And it is funny because that is something he's stressed out about a lot, and was like, well, you have to get it right. Like you have to get the look and the feel of the dog scene so that it matches the game.
It's like the one thing I remember most from most zombie games I play, but any kind of like a survival horror game. As soon as the dogs came in, I'm like, Oh, can't believe you did this to me. It's the worst because it always catches me by surprise. And like in Resident Evil 4, you remember the scene where like, okay, I've been fighting these villagers for a while. I'm starting to get the hang of it. And then if you're listening closely, there's a scene where you hear some dogs barking. And then like 30 seconds later, you get attacked by dogs. It's like, if you're not, but it's the worst omen. We're like, oh, there was a dog barking a minute ago and here they are eating my face and I hate it. It gets me every time.
I think that's something else that all the Resident Evils, at least up to the point where this game or this movie came out, had in common.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do still have it in common is the dogs, because they're such a terrifying, like out of nowhere, like they'll crash through a window and they'll kill you instantly kind of moment. Yeah. But it just, I never expected someone who deviated so aggressively from the game's storyline, which I don't even think, actually, the more I think about it, the more I think, I don't think he did. I think the game just went their own way. You know, like they kind of left the Raccoon City storyline behind and he sticks with it. So you see the world like falling apart because of these zombies, you know, which is something you get a little bit of in the game. And then they move on. And 7, I think, is when they fully switch. Then you just get, you know, hillbillies with black goop. Mm-hmm. Is it, Cody, spoil 7 for me. Is it magic or is it science?
You know, if you're asking me to guess, I would guess magic. I have not played it, and I don't know.
I think you're right. I've played it in VR, Cody.
Ooh.
It's a fun time. I'll tell everybody out there, Cody, PSA to everybody. They're sitting out here, they're saying Resident Evil 7, too scary. I'm saying, like, pop on that VR headset. It's way less scary. You can be like, hello, like peeking around corner, like, anybody there? Oh, there he is. And you just kind of scuttle away. You know, like it's real easy.
People really like 7. From what I hear, I mean, I think 4 is like the all-time best Resident Evil game, but I think people like 7 a lot.
And 7's a fun time, right? 7's a fun time. Man. And then, you know, 8, she's big, Cody. She's a big lady. Everybody's like, give me 8 in VR, you know? And I'm like, you're a bunch of, you want 8 in VR? So perv. Cody, can I spoil 8 a little bit? Can I spoil? I never played it, but can I spoil it just a little bit? Spoilers for Resident Evil Village 8. She dies pretty early on, if I understand this correctly.
I think she's a minor villain of the game, right?
She's not the main person, but
she's just a cultural icon.
She's a big lady, all right? She's a big mommy, all right? And everybody loves her, okay? Cody, you can't deny she is a mother. She has children, all right? How dare you try to take that from her?
I won't. I won't deny her children. Tyler, let's talk about this.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I started the movie. Well, another one of my favorite lines was towards the beginning when the disaster's first starting. Some dude loud talks, the experiments, move them. And I was like, oh, we're doing it. We haven't committed to the dialogue or the delivery of the dialogue, and I'm here for it. And I had so many questions. I was like, what the? It looks like he dropped that vial, but then he throws it like he threw it. And why do I care about this guy bumping into the coffee? And I was like, this is dumb. This is a lame movie. And then at the end, when it explains the whole thing, where it's like, anyway, a guy was here and he threw the vial to cause the virus to spread. And that's why he bumped into the guy. I was like, oh my goodness, that's smart. This is a smart written movie when I thought it was so dumb the whole time. And that's my thing. I really like the twist at the end, just of that, of being like, oh, this dude was here and did the thing, you know? So I liked that it tied into the intro. That was, I think, the smartest thing about the movie for me, as I was like, oh, they tied this whole thing together with a bow. And now I'm like, if I rewatched it, I'd be interested to even just rewatch the first 10 minutes and be like, oh my goodness, that explains all this stuff. So that, I think, was one of the strongest points of the movie. So I think that for me was the thing that, if I had anything positive to say about it, that was the main thing where I was like, oh, that was a smart way to do. Oh, and then the last thing was just, they go to the whole thing, right? And she makes it out, but a lot of her friends don't, and whatever, and they stop the thing. Except she gets captured at the end and she's put in the thing. And then when she leaves the facility, it's like, oh, the Raccoon City disaster just happened, you know, and it like skips ahead.
So I was wondering if you would skip past this, you know, because it's happening while they're getting captured, Cody, you know, and I know I know you're out here. I know you're getting bored of these movies, not paying attention. So they seal the hive. They've contained the breach.
Yeah.
So as the white people, the people in the white are taking them away, and that you get him saying another good like tease for the people who played the games is you get them carting off the cop guy, right? Saying I want him in the Nemesis program. You hear like the guy who's the voice, I think, of the Umbrella Corporation in the games. So I want him in the Nemesis program. So everybody who's played Resident Evil 2, I think, is the one where Nemesis is in it. Everybody's like, oh gosh, I know what that is. And then he says, like, then he tells them to get ready. He wants to open up the hive and find out what happened, which to me is a cool like explanation of how they were able to win and get out, but also we do need Raccoon City to fall. Like we need the breach to not be contained. But at the same time, is like what you just sent in a team to do. They did the thing you sent a team to do. You sent a team to seal the breach, to seal it, shut it down, stop whatever was going on. So why are you immediately like, get me back in there? Like they did the thing. You've lost your whole team accomplishing the mission now. But to be fair, you will see the Umbrella. That is nothing but if not consistent for what the Umbrella Corporation does throughout the rest of the movies. They are the epitome of a slimy, hyper-capitalistic society corporation that cares nothing for the consequences.
Jeff Bezos plus Musk plus Trump equals, it's like an all-encompassing giant.
Yeah. I mean, the Umbrella Corporation, the whole thing is it's supposed to make those corporations look like real good guys. Like by comparison, they look like real.
It's umbrella because it's like, see, it's an umbrella. Under the umbrella is all the stuff.
Yes. Exactly.
You get it?
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the movie, I was like, well, I love the twist that she gets out of the lab and she's like, what the F happened? Right. I thought that was a really awesome twist to like a movie that I didn't like that much. And it being like a prequel to the first game, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's a cool way to do it. So that for me was like the strongest thing of the movie. Let me tell you what I don't like. And it's not this movie's fault. I think it's like a trope of the genre, of the zombie genre. Why are we surprised when the wounded people are turned into zombies? Like she's seen 4 people turn into zombies. This dude has been torn to shreds by the monster at the end. The other guy who got bit by the monster at the end turned into a zombie. And then she's like, oh no, he's turned into a zombie. It's like, well, you never gave him the medicine and he got bit. So it always happens, but it's like, wait, you're turning into a zombie, but you were bit. And only 6 other people got bit and they all turned into zombies. You know what I'm saying? So what's that about? Why do they always got to do it? Why can't they be more smart like me?
Yeah, but then they wouldn't have the movie, Let me tell you my favorite part about this movie. It's going to sound stupid, right? But I've seen it so much that it's something that I feel like I know. I've noticed it before and I appreciate the genius of it so hard. Them saying, all right, we got to make a super high-tech looking hologram projector. Let's use one of those like stage lights, robotic stage lights. And that's what they use to be the projector for the Red Queen. And I'm always like, man, shout out to you guys. Like that's so because that thing still looks like a super futuristic piece of technology, but it's just like a regular old robotic. Like you'd have that on any high production value, like stage show. You'd have like 50 of those pointing lights all over the place.
Yeah. That was another thing I liked about the movie. I thought the idea of the AI Red Queen thing, I thought that was interesting. I liked that touch as well.
I will tell you, I don't know when. I can't remember if it's the next movie or later, but maybe Cody, maybe she's referenced again.
What? Okay, let's talk about my other big critique. And this is just me because I'm a heartless man.
Yeah,
I wish I cared more about any of these characters. I was like, it's an interesting idea to pop up Mila Jovovich and be like, we don't know who she is. We don't know what's going on. She's naked. She's got these pictures. She doesn't know what it all means, But like, I didn't care that much. And then she got her fake husband and I didn't care about him. And Michelle Rodriguez was there and you know how we feel. And, I wish there's so many questions around who this character is that I don't have like I don't have that main character. I'm really rooting for this person. It's like there's so much going on and so many questions about who is what and doing, But like I said, that's probably just me being a heartless man. But I was like, I don't care too much about any of these people,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how to fix it, but that's me.
Colin Salmon, one of those two. He's the one that I like the most, and I always am sad that he dies so early. You know,
Mm.
but like I did every time I see them fall apart, I'm always like kind of blown away at how good those people getting sliced in half still looks.
Yeah.
I'm always just like, man, like I feel like if Paul, Anderson wanted to, he could make these awesome like sci-fi or horror movies. But I mean, if I'm honest, Cody, if I see like people like, trying to think, if you take someone like Shyamalan, right, M. Night Shyamalan, who makes horror thriller movies, right, with the twist, and I think, okay, let's take from Signs to current Shyamalan, and then from this Resident Evil to the last Resident Evil movie. Which one would I rather be the director of? Which with like series and movies would I rather be the director? Hands down, 100%, no doubt, Resident Evil. I imagine every day is so much fun on these movies because they're so ridiculous and they get more ridiculous. It goes the route of, any of these things where of like, Fast and Furious or Transformers or, Resident Evil is always like the third one. I feel like what people would say in that group where they just get more and more ridiculous. But I feel like Resident Evil was the first one to understand exactly what it was and lean into it hard.
Yeah.
And then the difference being that the type of movie wasn't going to lead to the kind of success that like Fast and Furious leaning into what it was hard led to,
Mm-hmm.
But they both had Michelle Rodriguez, so
Tyler,
same level of quality.
I'm realizing Paul W.S. Anderson has more interesting movies than I've realized because some people call out Shopping as a really interesting, his first movie, which has Jude Law. And I've not heard anything about it. I was just reading his bio, but it's the first movie they call out. So that's interesting. He did a few blockbusters, including like Pompeii and not blockbuster, like action, Death Race, Three Musketeers. That was a kind of big deal movie. But he also made a movie that is on my watch list called Event Horizon, which is supposed to be like, some people laud it as like a truly unsung, like cult sci-fi classic. And other people are like, no, it wasn't that good. But you should at least see it for like, I don't know if it's the writing or just like the sets and the design of everything. So anyway, I mean,
I've heard it's a truly horrifying horror movie. He also, to be fair, did make Mortal Kombat. That's, I think, why he ended up getting approached for this one, because he made Mortal Kombat.
Right. Which, so, I mean, and he did Alien versus Predator. So it's not like, we kind of tease him like, oh, yeah, he's just done Resident Evil movies since then. But what he's done is Resident Evil, Alien versus Predator, Death Race, Resident Evil Afterlife, Three Musketeers, Resident Evil Retribution, Pompeii, Resident Evil Final Chapter. So like he's doing he's doing movies in between Resident Evil projects. So
he also, like, his movies, I would say, can be classified as fun movies to watch. They are like, let's get together, bunch of friends. They're the kind of movie that you would watch for a movie night. They're not gonna like win an Oscar, but you're gonna have the DVD to watch again and again with friends.
I don't know if we can be in his corner. I just saw the name of his child is Ever Anderson. That's rough. Tyler, what are we doing here,
Cody? In the realm of weird names, celebrity weird names, I feel like that's not that bad.
Ever Anderson, happily Ever Anderson. I mean, he's teeing him up for like a reality show, right?
Yes.
Come on.
100%.
Come on.
He knows what he's about. All right. He also made Monster Hunter, which I heard is pretty good.
And have one of those,
which is another video game adaptation. So I'm just saying, like,
did he produce? Oh no, he did direct it.
He wrote it.
That's the new.
Directed it.
That's his last project, even.
Yeah. Well, he's got a TV series.
In the Lost Lands is next, and it is in post production.
So I mean, yeah, he does stuff. Like, he's been consistently doing movies, and it always amazes me because I feel like the types of movies he makes, every time I go in to watch them, are like, so whenever I see, like, they've got a trailer for Monster Hunter shown right now, and I'm like, oh, so it's gonna be like trash movie, and I'm like, this movie like looks like a big budget Monster Hunter movie. Like, it looks like someone made a Monster Hunter movie, which is amazing to me.
His next movie is called In the Lost Lands. It stars Mila Jovovich. Surprise, surprise. and Dave Bautista. And it's based on a George R.R. Martin story.
Is he like secretly the best director of all time? We were talking about that before we started recording. Is he the best?
Well, he is quoted saying, "I don't think I could have more respect for Ridley Scott and Jim Cameron. They're gods of filmmaking." So there you go.
I do think
he knows his place.
Well, he does talk about Ridley Scott a lot using. I do think based on the things I saw and things I've seen from him before, like he views himself kind of like he makes cheap versions of what Ridley Scott does. Like he makes the cheap dollar store version of what he does, which is fair.
All right. Since we're on the Paul W.S. Anderson train, how about this piece of trivia? Sick and tired of having to explain the significance of the raining frogs in Magnolia, he added the initials W.S. to his name to avoid confusion with indie filmmaker Paul Thomas Anderson. Unfortunately, the modified name is too similar to another celebrated auteur, Wes Anderson, and Paul is constantly fielding questions about what it's like to work with Bill Murray. I mean, it is funny that his name is in between Paul Thomas Anderson and Wes Anderson, who could not be more indie filmmaker dudes. And he's like, I'm just trying to make these cool video game movies. And then these two indie filmmakers have ruined his life. But, it's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah. Like, I definitely think, he makes fun movies. That's the best way to describe it. He's a fun dude. Yeah. Because he cares about, it's kind of like what I hope happens with Henry Cavill being the executive producer of Netflix? Is it Netflix doing the Warhammer stuff?
I don't know who's doing it, but I don't think it's Netflix because the Witcher thing just happened. I think it's not Netflix.
So it's whoever's doing the Warhammer things because he's like a super nerd for it. He cares about it. And that seems kind of how Paul W.S. Anderson is for all these random properties he makes movies out of. He researches it, says, all right, how can I make this without ticking off the fans of this thing?
Yeah, but is he going to make a Tom Cruise movie with raining frogs in it? Probably not.
Maybe.
Probably not.
Here's what I would ask him if I could ever talk to him. What's it like working with Bill Murray? Right?
Well, it is funny because to your point about him making fun movies, we talked a lot about Paul Thomas Anderson earlier. And look, I love Paul Thomas Anderson. And I will probably see most, if not all of his movies because they're very interesting. And there have been some great movies he's done, but also they are long and dry. And sometimes I don't like them, So he's always present at the awards. Honestly, my favorite movie of his is Licorice Pizza, which is the least consequential of all his movies. It's it was at the awards. It didn't get that much attention. It's just kind of a silly, fun, weird movie, not like There Will Be Blood, where it's Paul Thomas Anderson is out, Daniel Day-Lewis is here and he's got a hat and he's an oil man. You know what I'm saying? Anyway,
that's the guy's name, Daniel Day-Lewis. I forget his name. Would it
be easy? There we go, full circle. I mean, it's easier for me to throw on Mortal Kombat and be like, yeah, I can watch. This is easy to watch, versus if I'm sitting down for a P.T. Anderson movie, I'm in it. I have committed. And I'm I got to look at this. I got to watch it. And I got to really think about what all of it means because it's not always clear, So I'll give W.S. Anderson that, the more watchable, the more digestible than something like a 2.5-hour movie about Daniel Day-Lewis selling oil rigs, How
about this? How about we agree on this part here? Okay. All right. Yeah. I think W.S. Anderson has as much fun with making movies as Wes Anderson does. Mm-hmm. Wes Anderson is just crazier. It does different stuff. There is a poll on IMDb with 7,560 votes.
Okay.
Anderson versus Anderson versus Anderson. All right. Where Wes Anderson is number one with 3,821 votes. Paul Thomas Anderson, number two with 3,048 votes. And Paul W.S. Anderson, number three with 691 votes.
Oof.
So that's the definitive list.
I will agree with the results of that poll. Wes Anderson is the man.
Yeah, I mean, he is the best Anderson. And I bet you, here's the thing.
He is a combination of the two. He has the fun, but he makes the indie movies,
Let's put it this way, Cody. Of those three men, Paul Thomas Anderson, he would fight against this list. You know it. He'd argue. He'd say, no, I'm the best. Wes Anderson, he'd say, no, I don't think I'm the best. I think we all make our own kind of movies. And Paul W.S. Anderson would say, I'm just happy to be on the list. Are you kidding me? Wes Anderson, way better.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel firmly
Man.
that that's what they would say. If anybody's ever asked them that, don't tell me because that's probably not what they said.
That's
Probably
what I
not.
want
I
I
believe.
mean, I'm looking at Paul Thomas Anderson's movies. I have a lot to watch still. But let me tell you, if you're ever going to sit down for the master, like maybe start with some of his other movies, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a big one. It's a big commitment. And let me tell you, I don't think there's any answers. So there you go. I'll just throw that out there.
I mean, I appreciate it. Appreciate you saying that.
Licorice pizza. All right, Tyler, is it time to rate this movie, or do we have anything else to talk about with Resident Evil?
I mean, you could talk about so many things, really. It's like an endless, bottomless trench of just fun details of the movie. Like I don't know. I mean, the only other thing, like I've already kind of said it, but I just want to reiterate, like because I forget every time, and I appreciate the simple things that he brings to like making a video game adaptation that it seems like no one else is capable of getting through their thick skulls. All right. Like everyone else is idiots when it comes to, they're like, oh, what are we going to do? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take Cyclops and make him be a cop in Montana. And then they're going to go to San Francisco with Sonic. And that's the Sonic movie. And it's like, you made a movie that's good. That Sonic is in it. It's an okay movie that also has Sonic in it. And then everybody's like, boom, you nailed it. Gold star. You cleared the curse. Or they're like, cool. I'm an up and coming director. I'm going to do things a little bit differently. Here's a shout out to every single person that is being given a video game adaptation project. If you change the story of the game, you are alienating the only people who will come see your stupid movie.
Yeah.
That's it. If you change the story, you are alienating those people, and you're not going to make any money. You're not going to get a second movie. Don't plan on making a second movie. Just say, hey, what holes in this story can I fill in? Because that's what he did. He did. And he made a fantastic movie that fits seamlessly into a long running video game franchise that does not compete with it, that is at the same quality as the video game, has the same characters that overlap, and just slides right in there. Cody, here's the hole, right? And it just slides right in there. Okay. Would you say that the writing and the quality of this movie is different from the quality of the writing and storytelling in those first 4 Resident Evil games?
I've only played 4, but I think it's hard to say because I haven't played them. But I mean, from what I know about them, I think I would agree with that. But I think that does do an injustice to the video games, especially Resident Evil 4, which is has really awesome gameplay, and the world of it is better. You know what I'm saying? But as a franchise, it keeps a lot of the spirit of it, and yeah,
but I'd be like, so the area they deal with. So this is a prequel to the first game.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the same elements of the world and the same rules, right? So that alone is something that most people that do video game adaptations can't seem to wrap their heads around, is keeping the same rules as the video game. But he even talks about it in an interview where he's like, all right, the game established these rules. And then oh yeah, there's other movies or other types, people who were in the writing team that wanted to do this type of zombie or this type of zombie. And he's like one of the things he brought up is one thing, it's established there are no fast zombies. Fast zombies don't exist in the Resident Evil franchise. And you're going to say what about this and that? It's they're different. They're not the bog standard zombie. Your bog standard person that's been turned into whatever type of zombie, they're not fast. But there are a lot of people that wanted him to make the zombies fast in this. And he's like, no, that's against the rules of the universe.
Yeah.
So it's just stuff like that I just, whether you like or hate the movie, just shout out to him for accepting that there are rules set by the game maker, the developers of the game, that he just followed those rules and tried to tell a story that fit into the world.
Yeah. I will say, just calling out video game adaptations, The Last of Us show has been really good. And that's easier because the games are super cinematic already. But they've done a great job of saying, hey, we're going to take a lot of scenes straight from the game because they have these great cinematics to go off of. But kind of like this, we're going to add some details and answer some questions that weren't addressed in the game, or be hey, this is a chance for us to expound on it, so we're going to throw this scene in there and this explanatory thing and the backstory of this character that maybe you didn't think about, So you're looking for a good video game adaptation. Last of Us has been really good so far.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think everybody at this point does agree that it takes the crown. It's the king video game adaptation of all time right now, for sure. Right?
Yeah.
I dare you, Cody. I dare you to look me in the eye and say, The Last of Us show is not the best.
I can't say it. I can't do it.
I'll say Resident Evil is an okay video game adaptation.
Well, should we slap a rating on it?
Yeah, I want to slap a rating on it. Cody, do you have your rating? Are you arguing it? Are you debating it? Do you feel it?
I'm afraid to speak, if we're being honest. And
Cody, say it, you coward.
I don't want to get in trouble,
Going to. You're gonna. Just
I'm flip-flopping in my brain.
Search your feelings.
Didn't like it. So
I mean, it's fine. You're not supposed to like it.
I'm going to give it a D+.
Oh.
It's right on the cusp of a C-. I'll give it that, just for the fact of that twist ending that I thought was great. But there's too much. D+. How about you?
I'm going to give it a B. Okay. Here's the thing. I was going to give it an A because I was
It is a
shocked.
B movie.
I thought this movie is so much like, this movie is better than the other movies in that it is more of a mainstream, like going for mass market appeal. I feel like it's better movie, but I do feel like the later movies in this series are more fun. Like the movie series, they're like, look, we came out of the same year as 28 Days Later. We're just not going to be able to compete with those ones. So let's just go hard into the fun. Let's take that's the thing. The video games don't try, with the exception of games like Last of Us, don't try to like be Oscar worthy with their stories. They try to be fun. The story doesn't, you don't want the story to get in the way of the gameplay. And I feel like the later movies do take that same, but they don't want the story to get in the way of the fun, cool adventure stuff,
Yeah.
So I'll give it a
Absolutely.
B. I think it's a fun horror movie that it's not scary enough. I think unless you have a serious like phobia of zombies, it's not really going to scare anybody that bad. But you're going to have some fun.
Right.
You're going to laugh at the goofiness. You're going to be like, what? It's got a better twist ending than Signs. I'll say it right now. Signs sucks as a movie. Can we agree on that fact?
Nah, it's a good one.
Yeah, sorry. So, all right, you want me to do the thing?
You gotta whip out the machine.
All right.
Oh, I did have a proposal as you're whipping it out.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I know at a certain point we're like, well, what if we hit a franchise of movies? We're planning on doing it all. What do we do? So you have two options here. Number one, I propose that we run through the Resident Evil movies as mini episodes. So that's one option. The other option, we can leave it in the machine, and whenever it comes up, we do the next one in the series. Or we can leave all the rest of the sequels in the machine, and as whenever a Resident Evil movie pops up, we do the next one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Which we did discuss this when it first popped up. And at the time, I was on the fence. I was on the side of, well, I'll just leave it in there. And when it comes back up, we'll do the second one. But now I got to tell you, Cody, one, I think the movies are better and only make sense when watched in rapid succession. It is, in the best way possible, it is basically a TV show.
Yeah.
That you kind of like need to watch them back to back to back. Or else you're going to be like, there's going to be times, there's a villain character that pops up, Cody, that I got to tell you, every time I watch this series, I'm like, has this guy been here the whole time? Because he just appears and they're like, we meet again, Turtleneck Man. And I'm like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? And they're like, we've been fighting for 40 years. I'm like, I've never heard of you. Have you? So you're going to have to help me to see the guy with the turtleneck. Just
it's
remember
like
that.
When the uncle shows up to Thanksgiving and you're like, wait, hold on. You've got a brother? Wait, I was supposed to know about it? Like all this history. You're like, wait, I don't.
Oh, it's just like, it's so funny because he's introduced like, yes, I'm here. I've been here the whole time. And I'm like, who are you? So you'll know the part I'm talking about when we get there. It's very funny. And I guarantee, I hope desperately that you're like, no, he's been here the whole time. But what I'm guessing is you're going to be like, when did this guy get introduced? And we're
Oh,
gonna
man.
have a whole episode just talking about this man. He's a treasure, Cody. He's my favorite part of the later movies. Okay,
Wonderful.
but I think we let's just run through them. Let's do them right now. Go watch them.
All right.
We'll come back. Go watch them all right now. Come back.
I'll leave the
cover 'em all.
recording going, and
Yeah.
I'll just hop back in when I'm done.
Watch them with us, everybody. Throw them on. You know, you can probably pirate them somewhere. No one's checking on these movies.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Alleged.
That's the legal defense rate.
Man. There you go. Man, well, want to thank everyone for tuning in. You can follow us and share us with your friends wherever you find your podcast. We are Opinion Havers. We're allegedly on social media at Opinion Havers. You can yell at us if you're sick of Resident Evil movies. You want us to do something else. Hey, let us know. We'll throw it in the mix. All right. Till next time, watch movies
and have opinions. Cody, let me tell you about these behind the scenes interviews. They talk about it like it's a masterpiece book, and it's very funny.
Oh.
Like,
It's
I played through the game and just the storytelling, and I'm like, hold up, no storytelling in the Resident Evil games. It's like I went through that hallway and there's a dog that killed me. That's the storytelling, all right. Like I studied the source material. You didn't study nothing. You played video games.
Man.